Steve Jewin, MMA Mania.
Steve, how are you? This is Dan Kitchen.
Hey, Dan. How's it going?
Good. I have Joe Warren on the other line, and he's ready to go whenever you are.
I'm ready right now.
All right, cool. I'll let you take it from here. Joe, you're on with Steve from MMA Mania. Steve, you there?
Yeah. Joe, it's good to talk to you again. Thanks for taking
the time. How you doing, Steve?
I'm great. Thank you.
Yeah, good to hear from you again.
You've got a big fight coming up with Darrion Caldwell next weekend, so how's the preparation going right now?
We're done. We're ready to rock and roll, man. I just, now it's a waiting game. You know, it's, just waiting to leave, waiting to, pack the bags, that kind of stuff. So it's, preparation's done, and now it's time to go beat someone's ass.
Absolutely. That's what I like to hear. You've got a very skilled wrestling opponent going up against you. You're not always matched up against wrestlers that have the degree of experience and championship caliber that he does, so it's quite a test.
Yeah, I mean, it is what it is. It's just a man in front of me, for me to put a hole in. I've been saying this back and forth now. I'm like Bellator's bantamweight gatekeeper. So, if you want to win anything in Bellator at bantamweight, you got to come through the baddest man. And now it's his choice. It's his turn. So we'll see what happens.
I find it interesting that going over your records respectively, you both have a win over Rafael Silva. So actually, I would have called him the gatekeeper.
Oh yeah, Rafael, but you got to win a belt first. I've had 3 Bellator belts on my waist, so I guess you would have to maybe win that title to say that you can be a gatekeeper, right? No, Rafael Silva, I mean, I take nothing from him. I mean, Dantes backed out of that fight 5 days before I ended up having to fight him, and he was hands down tougher opponent than what I thought I have with Dantes. So that was one of the tougher fights I've had.
Well, it worked out well in your favor. It also worked out when he fought him, and in that case, I actually thought it was a bit of an upset. I thought Silva would have his number, but Caldwell proved to me he's a lot more dangerous than I thought.
Oh, he is way more dangerous than what people give him credit for. I mean, Division I national champ, that is as tough of a feat that you can do, period, in the world. I mean, that's the toughest thing you can do, and for him to do that, it's huge. I'm not looking past this man one bit. He's the young stud, undefeated stud coming up. I'm a guy that's been there. So he's got a lot on his plate. Me, it's just pretty much another fight for me. I fight ninjas every single time I get in that Bellator cage. So hopefully he's ready for that.
You did mention that he's the young stud, and since you both got impeccable wrestling credentials, I think that's actually the biggest difference is the age between you and him. So what do you think about that?
Well, yeah, I didn't start fighting until 33 or so. So, I could be half of these guys' dads when I'm fighting them in there, so, so that being said, I'm not injured. I'm not hurt. I'm the best person I've ever been, physically and mentally. So, it's just, you don't want to build my confidence. My head's big enough. I can't even get it through the door right now. So, if you just keep blowing gaining confidence with me, and, I'm unstoppable. I'm a freaking killing machine. That's what I tell myself every day. He's just another body in front of me, another good wrestler. I respect him. He's never done anything wrong to me. He's been a great person. But, that being said, once that door's shut, it's all over. So, I'm excited for an extremely tough war again. I don't really get in that Bellator cage without it being a war. So, I'm real comfortable with that happening in that Bellator cage. It's happened many times for me. Hopefully he's ready for that.
Well, I know he's the guy you've got to smash to earn your way back to the title, but we're in an interesting situation right now that we're recording this before the bantamweight title fight, and this interview will probably be published afterwards. So let me get your thoughts on Galvão Dantas too.
Yeah, Galvão Dantas, I beat both of them. So, that's about it. That's the only thing we need to say. I mean, it doesn't really matter to me who wins that belt. They're both pretty much the same person to me. They come from the same place. They're little brothers, you know what I mean? So I beat both of them. They both don't like me. That being said, I'm not really sure how that one goes down. I hear that Dantas is opening his mouth a lot about me this week when he should be worried about the task at hand, period. I'm worried about this body, Darrion Caldwell, this killer coming after me. I'm not worried about those 2 Brazilians. That's next, one step at a time. So I think that fight's going to be way tougher. I'm not really sure how that one goes down. I feel Marcus has got better and better and better. Since the first time I even fought him. You know, I think Dantes is a little bitch, man. He runs from me. He talks a lot of crap and doesn't get the job done. So I'd like to see him. I'd like to fight him again, personally. You know.
All right.
But we'll see what happens. You know, I mean, I'm excited to watch that fight myself.
Yeah, it should be a great fight. They've got history, and you've got history with both of them. So presumably, since you're already done with camp, you can be sitting there at cage side watching this fight before your fight comes up.
Yeah, you know, it's just it's a week away. You know, that's why I didn't go out to that big fight last weekend, because it's just too close for me right now. You know, I've had a lot of crazy shit going on, and want to just stay focused and violent and get this job done, and then you guys will see me next to the Bellator cage again.
That sounds good. But hey, you mentioned that big fight last week, so everybody's talking about it. It did record ratings on Spike. What did you think of the main event and the co-main event of that card?
I think it was probably what everybody expected. You know, I mean, it's a history-making fights. You know, those aren't title fights. Those aren't fights that are, you know, number one ranking in the world. These are older fighters that are getting the opportunity to come back and, you know, settle history and make history. And I think what Bellator did again was blew up the board. You know, that's what they did. They brought 2.5 million people to Spike. Viacom and Spike and Bellator did, just to promote our next season, to tell you what we have coming up, to show you what's going on. I think the buzz is back against Bellator. I've said it many times that Bellator is where the cool kids fight. I've said it for years. People forget also, when I came out of Dream, I had the decision between UFC and Bellator. I made that free agency little move 5 years ago. You know what I mean? So I picked Bellator back when they told me what they expected Bellator to be in 5 years and where they wanted it. And, you know, the projections, and they told me things. They've stuck to their end of the bargain. They've got bigger every single fight. They've taken care of me, and I think the nation is starting to see really how cool and how much fun Bellator is, how exciting it is for the fans.
I hope so too, and I hope a lot of that audience carries over this week and next week to all the big bantamweight main events coming up. We want that. We want that 2.5 million to roll right on through.
Yeah, we'd love to. Probably not this weekend, but when the baddest man's in there, people tune in, because one way or the other, it should be exciting. Yeah, I mean, I just try to hold the torch for the bantamweight, division as much as I can. You know, it's, I always, the smaller guys don't get paid as much, but put on a better show, and hopefully that's going to change here in the future.
Let me get one specific question in about the main event from last week. Do you think Ken Shamrock is going to win his protest? It looked like he got fouled, and the referee missed it.
Yeah, there's a lot of stuff goes on in fights, okay? If you stop during the fight, you lose, okay? If they've taught you this since I was a little boy, wrestling on a wrestling mat, that you continue to compete until you hear the whistle, and or until it stops. And that was just another weird thing that happened. You know, it was unintentional blow, and he didn't continue to keep fighting. So, it's a strange situation. Mixed martial arts is the most unpredictable sport in the world. You can never really know what's going to happen in that cage. And, things happen. People get poked in the eyes, people get kneed in the groin, things like that. So, I think it was just a freak accident. And, I think that's about, it's not going to move any more forward, I don't think.
I guess I don't know if I think he stopped fighting. It was more like he had a delayed reaction to the foul. It was like he kept fighting, and then when he got kneed in the head, he grabbed his groin. It was like, wow, that just started hurting like 3 seconds later. But I know sometimes it takes a little while.
Well, you got to understand. I mean, it's a delay sometimes,
Right.
You know what happens. He's got so much adrenaline going in that cage, and so much passion. He's not going to slow down. He didn't probably even feel it until that next knee hit, and then he felt it. So I think it was just a weird situation. I was hoping that didn't happen and we would have seen a longer fight. But that being said, I mean, it's mixed martial arts. It's very unpredictable.
Well, yeah, Hoist Gracie said it himself in his interview. He said, we come from when it was no rules, no limits, no time. We did whatever we had to do.
And that was a great answer, right? I mean, you can't ask for a better answer. That's the truth. You know, they didn't have gloves. You could do anything you wanted back then. So for a little growing hit like that, you know, it's sad that it went down like that, but you probably see something come out of it. You never know.
All right. Well, let's get back to your fight with Darrion Caldwell. Looking at all the things that he's done, what would you say is the fight that you draw the most from when you prepare for him?
I haven't even watched a fight that he's fought in. I'm not a big, I usually don't watch fights. I don't really care what the other guy does. I know what I'm going to do. I'm the baddest man on the planet. I stay focused and do what I do best. I'm unstoppable. I start playing around with other stuff and try to fight another man's fight. It's when you get in trouble. So I'm focused on, you know, one thing. You know, my technique is violent. I mean, my technique is precise. My focus is violent, and I'm gonna go in there and put the hammer down and get the job done. Just a body in front of me to put a hole through. You know, it's just, that's how I see it. You know, I mean, it's a different name, but hopefully same result.
Now, I've told you when we've talked before that you engender a lot of feelings, very strong, passionate feelings out there in the MMA community. People either love you or they love to hate you. And when I looked at your Wikipedia page just this moment, I noticed that the love to hate you thing has cropped up again because somebody changed the victory that Marcos Galvão over you to a girl scream. What do you think when people do things like that to your record?
You know what? I'm a competitor. I was in complete shock. I didn't know what happened that fight. You know, like, I didn't know till I got home that I actually verbally submitted, you know, and then I called up Big John and told him I was dead sorry and said, you know, you did the right thing. You know, I'm walking around right now and I should not be, you know, it's just so much emotion going into those cages. Yeah, that was just something that happened without me, you know, even knowing that I did that. You know, I mean, it was a lot of shit goes on in the cage, but you know, I mean, I did scream out. I'm not gonna lie to you. You know, I mean, after watching it, I heard myself down the street. So, yeah, it sucked, man. That was my belt, and you know, I lost it. So, it's a bad time for me there, but shit happens. You know what I mean? That's in the past. I don't even think about that stuff anymore. I got a young stud to think about coming up here.
Well, that's what I think is funny. When we talked before, you manned up and admitted to the submission, but it seems like fans out there are still trying to get your goat. It's like they think they can push your buttons.
Yeah, you know, I love the fans, but I just don't give a shit. You understand? I don't read the internet. I'm an old man, you know, like they can call me anything you want, but you know, I've got 2 kids and a wife and a family. I'm a family man. If I gave a shit what the public said or the press said, then I probably wouldn't be fighting anymore. Okay. Me, I'm a, you know, unstoppable freaking killing machine. You know, I tell you that every single time. That's how I feel. You know, I feel I get better every single day. So as long as that's happening, you're going to see me in that cage beating people up in the Bellator cage, you know? So I just, you know, the fans, come on, you know, that's their right. They get their right to hate you or love you, you know, and I kind of, like you said, I have that little, target that love hate on my back. So, do what you want, love me or hate me, but tune in to watch me kick the shit out of Darrion Caldwell. That's usually what happens.
All right. Well, let's say that's what happens here. You kick the shit out of Darrion Caldwell. Is that the title shot then? Do you get your match with Galvão or Dantas, whoever emerges the champ?
Yes. You know, I believe I would have that fight right now. It's just, you know, again, Dantas, he pulls out of fights, man. He pulled out of my championship fight 5 days before I fought. Had to fight Silva instead, tougher fighter. He pulled out last, December on Galvão again. So, you know, I mean, that being said, I mean, I think, if Dantas gets in the cage, then they fight. I've had to wait to get the opportunity for the winner. So I could have waited again for another 6 months, or, you know, I could step up to the plate and fight this young stud and get a fight in. And I'm excited to fight for Bellator. I want to fight in that cage. So when they gave me that opportunity, I jumped at it. So me and Darrion get to fight, and then, yes, whoever wins between us will be fighting for that belt.
Now, as for whether or not that fight between Galvo and Dantas is going to take place, I've heard there are some interesting things going on with the commission regarding the weight cut this time, and a lot of states, in fact California in particular, seem to be experimenting with that right now. What are your feelings on the changing of the rules regarding dehydration and weight cuts?
Is that going on with Bellator right now? I haven't even heard it. I don't really follow much the press, so I didn't know. I know what's going on over in the ONE FC, over in Singapore, and those guys, what they've been doing. I don't have a problem with the weight. That's why I dropped down to 35. I've won my world titles there. I'm a professional. I understand what it means to make weight. Those guys, I guess, don't. He doesn't make weight. I can jump on a plane real fast and go get that belt back if they need me to. I'm ready right now, and they know that. So it's not far from Colorado. It's a quick flight. So if Dantas wants to be a little bitch and back out again, I'll be happy to go in there and fight Galvo. They know that much. So I think maybe that's why they made the fight so close.
Well, I think the controversy this time is not necessarily whether or not they can make the weight. It's that they're getting to weigh in a little earlier, and I believe that the fear is that one fighter could be significantly heavier, like 20 or 30 pounds heavier.
Oh, are they weighing in early? That's the deal? I'm sorry, I didn't know what it was.
Yeah, that's my understanding, but I haven't gotten an official explanation. That's just what I've been hearing about.
When are they weighing in?
I don't even know at this point. I thought it was originally scheduled to be Thursday at 5 o'clock, but I guess maybe it's different now. I'm going to get clarification on that later.
Well, if I can just jump in really quick, guys, the weigh-in is still happening at 5 o'clock, but the fighters are allowed the opportunity to weigh in earlier in the day if they'd like to.
No, and that's the smartest possible thing. I'd like to, go on definitely and comment about this. I mean, one thing that happened in Japan and happens a lot around the world, even in other sports, is you have a private weigh-in, and then you have a public weigh-in. Okay, then you're all filled up, happy, have better interviews. There's people are smiling on the scale instead of one guy almost dying, on the scale. I think that's better for the promotion. You're going to get more out of your fighters. You're going to get more publicity. You're going to get just a better fighter to talk when he's hydrated. So there's nothing wrong with. I think that's the best thing Bellator could ever do is have us weigh in 2 hours early, then come back and do a public weigh-in. Do a private weigh-in. And now if something happens, they have 2 hours still, and then it makes it public. I think that's probably one of the smartest things I've heard so far.
All right. Well, that's a great answer from both of you. I think that solves the question, and I think that leaves us ready to go with two big fights coming up. We've got Galvo Dantas 2 coming up Friday, and we've got Caldwell Warren coming up a week after that, and everything's looking good for that. So, Joe, I want you to go ahead and plug anything you want to plug and promote anything you want to promote.
No, I'd just like to thank Tom, Spike, and Bellator for putting the baddest man back in there again, I'm honored to have the Bellator Nation tuning in to watch me again. So make sure March 4th you tune in to watch the baddest man put a hole through Darrion Caldwell.
Absolutely. And whoever wins that fight, you've already said it's going to be the next man in line to fight either Galvo or Dantas. So if you're watching the fights Friday, you don't want to miss them next Friday because, hey, you got to find out who's going to be that challenger for that champion. If you don't watch...
and the baddest man beat both of them already.
That's true. So, Joe, best of luck in the fight next Friday, and thank you for the time today. I really appreciate it.
Thank you for having me. I really appreciate it.
All right, and thank you, Dan, as well.
Thank you.